Hey everybody, this is Sean Thompson. I'm going to start doing some podcasts this year on the Seahawks games and just giving you my thoughts of what I see and just getting some more content out there for those for all those 12s out there. Um, I live in Austin, Texas. Just a little bit about me. I've been a Seahawks fan for I don't know, since the mid '80s. So a very long time. I've gone through the drought with everybody and all the tough seasons and the losing seasons and also then the highs of recent in the Pete Carroll era. So I'm excited right now. This is a great time to be a Hawks fan. We've got a lot to look forward to. Um, I I I'm optimistic in general, but I was even more optimistic after I watched the film again on Sunday's game. I mean, you never want to lose your season opener. You also never want to lose to the Rams. But honestly, the Rams have a lot going for them. Nick Foles played really, really good. He showed a lot of resiliency. He just came back. He showed a lot of grit, hanging in the pocket several times, even running the ball himself on occasion. And then their defense is fast and physical. It used to always just be the front seven, or really the defensive line. The linebackers have always been kind of okay, but they looked very fast from the front seven to the back four. Everybody played fast, so holes closed up very quickly. Russell couldn't get out and run like he had in the past. They tackled really well. There weren't a lot of missed tackles. You're always going to have missed tackles when you got beast mode rolling out, but for the most part, they played good defense. So anyway, let's get to some of my other game notes that I have here. The first one that I want to touch on was an interesting decision by Pete Carroll to go for it on fourth down in the first quarter. I would have liked to kick the field goal there. I always want to take points when you can. Now that would have been a 49-yarder for Hauschka, but he's house money, so roll with that. As it turns out, we get the first down, which is great. He looks good, and then just downhill from there. We back ourselves up. We take a sack, and we have to punt. Okay, so we don't get any points out of that right there. That's 3 points. That's a game winner right there. You don't go to overtime if you're up by 10 in the final 4 minutes instead of just 7. So anyway, I would have done that. I was screaming to take the points at that time. But easy for me to second guess. But I think that was a major turn of events there in just the first quarter. I mean, the score is still 0-0, so at the time you're not really thinking much about it. But those points always kind of have a way of coming back to get you there at the end. Tyler Lockett. So our first touchdown was Tyler Lockett. Man, what a breath of fresh air. I mean, and a quick fresh air. I mean, that guy is lightning fast. I live in Texas. I went to Texas A&M. Had a lot of buddies that played for the University of Texas, so I follow all the college football down here. K-State is obviously in the Big 12, which A&M used to be in, and of course Texas still is in it. And so I watched this kid. I watched him in college, and he was phenomenal. So I did not know that it was going to translate like it has to the NFL, but that speed is top notch. His change, his misdirection while going full speed is just amazing, as well as his quickness. I mean, you saw a lot of 5-yard outs, a couple that were thrown to him, and he just turned it up and got another 5. It was a 10-yard gain right there. Which is huge when you're moving those sticks. So I was really impressed with him. I've been impressed with him really all throughout college, throughout training camp, preseason. Obviously, I mean that's when everybody kind of really got to look at this guy, and then now in his first game, and you could just kind of feel it, like the defense came out and they were just pumped up, ready to go, almost got a safety, and you knew that he was going to get it around the 50-yard line, and he didn't have that much to go, that far to go to get the touchdown. So he got it pretty quickly. So that was amazing to see. No disrespect to Brian Walters, but he's not Tyler Lockett. He's not Golden Tate. He's not even Leon Washington. So I'm glad that we now have a actual weapon in our special teams for kickoffs and punt returns. That's gonna help us huge this season. So anytime you can pick up 7 points without your offense having to be out there, especially this offense, and we'll get to that in a little bit with Bevel and his play calling. But anytime you can grab yourself 7 points in that area of the game, you're doing all right. So let's talk about the defense real quick. I thought the defense played pretty good, actually. There always tends to be a couple series a game where they get a little bit, I don't know if it's just winded or their intensity level drops or something, and teams can move the ball and score on us some. And so I think that while they played well, there were obviously some stuff that stood out, and that the biggest thing to me was not just that Cam Chancellor wasn't there. That's obvious. Deion Bailey is not Cam Chancellor, but their tight ends just got behind us every single time. It felt like, we made Jared Cook look like just a stud all-pro, which he's a good player. I mean, he's not a bad player by any means, but they just kept getting behind us and just gashing us for huge plays and huge chunks of yards. So I was not really impressed with that, because I think we have a great linebacking core. So Pete Carroll actually spoke about that, and that they apparently weren't dropping as deep as they need to be. So hopefully that'll get corrected. He seemed pretty confident that was very easily correctable. And so, we'll see. I thought the defensive line played pretty well. I thought the secondary was good. I kind of liked what I saw from Kerry Williams the first game out. He had that amazing play to that sack, fumble, and then fumble return. I mean, he did that all in one fell swoop. The ball bounced just right, and that was huge. That gave us that 7-point lead going into with about 4 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game. So that basically should have been a game winner, and you kind of felt that when it happened. So. I know I screamed so loud that my daughter started crying. She's only 19 months old, so she didn't really know what was happening. But yeah, so that was really exciting. He had a couple coverage mishaps, but I like what I saw from him. I think he's going to be good going forward. Hopefully, he just continues to get better. But then also Earl Thomas, he's probably my favorite on defense. So I'm not going to throw much blame at Earl, but he just didn't look like himself out there due to the injury. Probably some of it missing Cam as well. It looked like he kept favoring his shoulder, so he would tackle with his right shoulder and not his left, and you could just have, whenever he'd go into the pile to hit, he'd kind of move his body and dip that good shoulder, and so hopefully some of that goes away as he gets healthier. I think I heard him say that he's still rehabbing, so maybe he's not 100% right now and is just really favoring that. You can tell You can tell when a player is playing basketball and they have a kind of a hurt ankle or gimpy knee or something, they will favor that side, and they'll tend to drive left or right, whichever one is not hurt. And so I saw that kind of from Earl with his shoulder. And so it's not too concerning, just something to keep an eye on. Hopefully, like I said, that he gets healthy and continues to progress health-wise, and then that will hopefully give him some of his confidence back, his swagger back. He looked kind of a little mild-mannered throughout some of that game. I think on the field he was still pretty ferocious, still made impact plays. I mean, that forced fumble that he did, let's see, what did that do? I think that led to a touchdown for us, or a field goal. I'm not sure. I'll have to look. But so that's going to be interesting to see, how he progresses and how he deals with, having to get on the same page with Deion Bailey while Cam continues to hold out. By the way, let me just really give my thoughts on that. I thought Ray Lewis said it best today. I listened to a interview that he had with Stephen A. Smith, where he basically said, Cam, don't let this money, taint your legacy. Or, he said, there's no way, excuse me. He said, there's no way that I would ever leave my brothers on the field because of money. He just said that I would never do it. And of course, Ray is just such a passionate, awesome speaker that you just get fired up listening to him. But anyway, if you haven't listened to that, try to find that on the internet somewhere. It was a great little interview, and I'm all for players getting their money, especially when none of it's guaranteed after this year. So Cam, for Cam, for whatever reason, wanted more money next year, and then I guess he was going to renegotiate a new contract after that. But so he decided to hold out, and he's taking it to the max, and we'll see. I don't think the Seahawks should budge. So while I'm for the player getting money, I'm also a team first fan. So the team comes before any player. As you can see, I've been a fan since mid '80s. The team is there forever. Okay, the player comes and goes. So while I love Cam, I love what he brings to this defense, his leadership, leadership in the locker room. I think all that is going to be missed, but at the end of the day, you can't put the team in a bad position by having to renegotiate all these other contracts that are only 1 or 2 years in. Obviously everybody points to Michael Bennett being the first guy at the door for that, which he would be, and he should be if that happens. So hopefully the Seahawks, stay strong. I really don't understand if the Seahawks are willing to move up $3 million from 2017 to 2016, and Cam's wanting $4 million, or he's wanting $4 million, and they're willing to move up $3.1 million. To me, that's just that's crazy. So basically, Cam is holding out for $900,000, which after taxes and that high up, you're probably looking at only about $450,000 is what he's holding on to get from the team, after they're already giving you $3.1 million extra, moving that up. And that is extra, because there's no way that he only plays for $2+ million the next year. No way. He'll get a new contract at that point. So I don't agree with Cam in this situation. I think he's been presented with a good offer that he probably should have taken. And now I don't know what the play is. I don't know why he's dug in. I guess he's just thinking that if the Seahawks lose a bunch, then they'll sign him. But what good is that if you get paid, but then you are the reason your team doesn't make it to the Super Bowl, it doesn't make it to the playoffs, because you let them lose the first 2 or 3 games without you. So that's pretty selfish, in my opinion. especially when you've already had that money, that offer given to you, and you rejected it because you wanted just a little bit extra. Of course, I'm not in the negotiations, so I could be speaking, straight out my butt on that and not know anything. But just from all the reports out there, that seems to be what's happening. So, so I'm kind of with the team on this issue, and hopefully he reports soon. Let's see some other observations that I had. Man, our defense. They're still fast, they're still quick, but man, they missed a lot of tackles. They usually do not miss that many tackles. Now, the first guy there doesn't always necessarily get the tackle, but they will hold them up until the cavalry comes, and that just they for whatever reason they just could not really seem to tackle that well against that Billy Cunningham. He had a really nice day. I thought he was quick. I kind of like him more than I do Mason, so we'll see what they do going forward there. But we just missed a lot of tackles, and that's tough, and that's probably par for the course for the first game. Preseason, those guys they only play a couple series or whatever, and so this is live game action for a full game, and they got to play 4 quarters plus, so. Hopefully that gets shored up the longer the season goes. I have confidence that it will. We've never seen a team not tackle before, so that probably will get better. Let's switch gears to the offensive side of the ball. I like Tyler Lockett as a receiver. We already talked about him a little bit. Jermaine Kearse and Doug are just as steady as ever. They are legit receivers, especially for an offense built like this. I thought Doug did a lot this game that was good. I'd like to see him just get the ball and get upfield. He kind of danced around a little bit more than I'm used to seeing him. But with that said, he is such lightning quick, man. He is just so good. So I'm not going to fault him because next time he's probably going to break one off. So. But I always like to see the guys just get the ball and get up quick, especially when you've already caught the ball for 6 yards and you can get another 3 or 4 and get that first down. So so he looked good. Jermaine Kearse looked just as good. Jimmy Graham is a difference maker. I mean, he is legit. I've had him in fantasy before, fantasy football, so I know how good he is. But that's also just him getting the ball thrown to over and over and over. That was not the case in this game. I'm not sure what Darrell Bevell is going to do with him. He needs to do something with him more than what he did this game. They barely targeted him in the red zone, and then when they did, he was triple covered because they knew that was coming. I think Graham is a piece that can just fit into this offense and be a difference maker. It's not going to be like Percy Harvin to where they have to create specific plays to get him the ball. I think he's just going to be natural in that position. The thing is, Russell's got to have time. Russell has to have time to throw to Jimmy. You can't get those 15-yard seam routes to him if Aaron Donald's putting Russell Wilson on his back. So that was the biggest thing that I saw from the offensive line. Was pass protection was not great. Now there were some moments, and when Russell had time, you saw some things. Like I think there was maybe an 18 or 20-yard completion to Jimmy Graham right up the middle that was huge, and Russell had plenty of time, and it was beautiful. The play calling was a little suspect for me. I'm not a huge Darrell Bevell fan. I just think he's just not my cup of tea for offense. He's a little bit more conservative than maybe I want to be. But that fits right in with Pete Carroll. I mean, he wants to hold on to the ball, make sure that they don't turn the ball over, and then just get your points when they come. And so it's easy to see why Pete likes him. I don't think Pete will ever go away from him. I think it's just been unfortunate for us the last couple years that he hasn't got a head coaching job. So I think that's really the only way that we're going to get rid of him. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe Marshawn Lynch's mom has some pull in that and can get him out of there first. But I think that's what it's gonna take. And I don't know. I don't know what that means. Unfortunately, that might mean that we don't make the Super Bowl or we don't go far into the playoffs to get rid of him. Because he's not that great of a candidate. I think that teams want to just, say, hey, we'll wait till you're done with the Super Bowl and then we're hiring this guy because he's our guy. You saw that with Dan Quinn, and you can see why. He's probably going to be a pretty good head coach. Darrell Bevell, I'm not sure how that'll work, but I don't see a lot of teams just waiting and saying we got to get this guy, so we'll wait until the playoffs are over and then hire him. So I don't know how that'll shake out. But anyway, he's not my cup of tea. I thought he was very conservative, with good reason. The line could not protect Russell at all this game. So there was a lot of quick 5-yard outs, 5-yard curls, 10-yard curls, 10-yard out. Everything was to the edge. Nothing was up the seams in the middle, whether it was to Jimmy or even to Luke Wilson or even Doug in the slot. There were not that many crossing routes. Russell just didn't have time for a lot of that. Even when Russell scrambled, it didn't look like there's that much down the field. So I don't know. That's just what it looked like to me. Now, I was not able to watch the All 22 film, which normally I will do that for these podcasts, but the NFL has changed their app for those, and so it is terrible to watch. This week it was really fuzzy and grainy. You couldn't even tell what the numbers were on the jerseys for people. So I didn't watch it this game. So, but I'll try that next week and maybe have a better look for what's going on down the field. But anyway, so that was another one of my my areas of concern is the offensive line. They gave up 6 sacks. When Russell Wilson is getting sacked 6 times, you're leaking. Your offensive line is just abysmal, and you're just taking on water, and eventually that ship's going to sink. So, it wasn't all bad. Again, I'm pretty optimistic. I saw them do a lot of good stuff. They did pass protect well a couple times, and just not all the time. They also did pretty good in the run game. Obviously, the 4th and 1, Marshawn Lynch gets stuffed in overtime. We lose the game, and everybody wants to link that to the Super Bowl and say, "Yep, see, here it is again. They couldn't even get it if they would have ran it." I don't really necessarily think it's the same situation. It was probably the same down and distance, it was just the same distance, not even the same down. I think what makes people put those two together is that it was a game-ending deal. So Russell Wilson throws the interception, Super Bowl, game over. Heartbreak. Sucks. Okay? Live with that forever. That will never go away. That sucks. Holy crap, that sucks. And then this one, 4th and 1, you get tackled, game over. So it's just, I think the finality of the result is what was the same. But if you look at that game, there were so many 3rd and 1s, 3rd and 2s. There's a 4th and 1 that Coleman got it right up the gut. Marshawn Lynch, first of all, he's just a beast. This offensive line would look even worse if it wasn't for Marshawn Lynch, but he is so special, so talented. He just can get those extra yards, and he got them consistently all game. So when I went back and watched the game, I saw a lot of 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s, second and 3, second and 2, they got picked up with those running plays. So I think it was just that play. St. Louis was probably geared up for it. They make a great play, stuffed him. Russell really did not do a lot running this game, so I'm kind of, that was kind of concerning, but because apparently he's gotten faster this offseason, but that Rams defense was faster, so I think that kind of stopped him from running a lot of times. So, but anyway, so I think the offensive line did well enough, and I think there's enough there to give you hope going forward that they're going to get better as they all play together and they gain that trust and that continuity with each other, that they will get better. Cable being able to go over, all that stuff with them in real game situations. They're going to learn, Noak, I think, played pretty good. However, he had a lot of bad snaps. I mean, Russell was, playing second base out there as well as quarterback by picking up those balls and still getting the ball out quick. So hopefully that gets better, and he snaps the ball better, which, I have no reason to think that it won't. I don't think it's that hard to snap the ball 5 yards. So I think it's just, I don't know if it was just maybe nerves or conditioning or whatever, but hopefully that will take care of itself, because that's the last thing we need is a fumble, and just give away free points like that. So let's see here. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got a 7-point lead with 4:30 to go in the game, and your defense gives up an 84-yard, scoring drive for a touchdown and tie the game up. And you only have 50 seconds left with only one timeout. You didn't use your timeouts that great at the end of the fourth quarter, so you don't have a lot of time left, and it's just, there's nothing to do to even get that field goal, that last second field goal that you need. So Russell, again, didn't have time to throw downfield, so it wasn't like they were going to be able to really gain a lot of big yards in the passing game there at the end, especially when the Rams know that that's coming. So so that was unfortunate. Then you go into overtime, and you lose a coin toss, so your defense has to hold. Why now in that situation? Why in overtime would you try to get cute and kick it to whoever they were trying to kick to? I know they said they had a big lineman that they left him in. They wanted to make him field the ball, but realistically, maybe he catches it. He's probably like a Gary Gilliam type. That's a big body, but maybe he played tight end, or maybe he can handle the ball. So maybe he catches the ball at the 30, they tackle him at the 30, 35, whatever the case may be. Okay, fine. It didn't work out like that. You miss kick it, and they get the ball, near midfield, and they're just 20 yards away from from field goal range. Thankfully the defense stepped up and shut them down and only held them to a field goal, and they could have gone and won the game right then. I think they probably played for that field goal. Once they got in range, you just kind of start shutting it down, especially the way their defense was playing all game. They probably felt that they could hold our offense. But here's what I don't understand is just a kickoff should be a touchback every single time. I mean, those NFL kickers, they can all kick it out of the end zone, especially in a dome. There were no weather conditions that would hamper that. Just kick the thing through the back of the end zone, just absolutely leg bomb it, and give them the ball at the 20 and make them go another 80 yards on this defense. They just went 84, so maybe that was fresh in Pete's mind that like, hey, maybe we need to try to do something to where big guy tries to catch the ball and he fumbles it or whatever, and they get the ball. But for me, you just kick it straight out of the end zone. They get it on the 20. They got to go 80 yards. I don't know that that's going to happen. Anyway, that's what I would have done. They didn't. At the end of the day, we still get the ball. We have a chance to win it. We're driving down. We're in their territory with the 4th and 1, and we just didn't make the play. So the game was there. We had the game. Like I think Pete Carroll said that they felt like they should have won that game, and I agree with that. That was my sense, and you kind of did. You felt like they were always going to win that game. I never felt out of it, even when they were down 11. With this team does not get blown out. This team is always in every single game, which is not good news for my nails. I bite them things like crazy, but it is nervous and nerve-wracking, but you kind of do always have this sense that Russell's just going to bring us back and he's going to win the game. And so, and he generally does. He generally has, but this was one time that he couldn't. You just chalk that up. I mean, generally a team with a 3-to-1 turnover ratio. The offense was not that bad. We had a lot of yards. We had a ton of first downs. All that kind of stuff. I mean, Russell had a 90.1 quarterback rating. That is not that bad against that defense. And we'll see if that defense is really legit. I mean, maybe our offensive line is just making them look good. But when we threw everything out to the flats, I saw them just running quickly. I mean, they were just fast and physical. And so it'll be interesting to see what that defense does the rest of this year and how they do against other opponents. So I think the NFC West is wide open this year. I don't think the Cardinals are going to be as great as they were last year. So that gives me hope that I think you probably still win this division with maybe 5 losses. We'll get it done. But then you're talking about basically playoff seeding and getting that home field advantage. That's been key for us the last 2 years to get to the Super Bowl, is having everything come through Seattle. It'll be different if we have to go to Green Bay in January and have to win there. So that's probably what's more concerning me right now is that home field advantage that you play for all year. I think we're still going to win the NFC West and get into the playoffs. Definitely, I'm believing a one seed still again. I hope Cam reports, if not this week, after the Green Bay loss, and maybe he realizes, or some of the players put some pressure on him, like, hey, bro, we need you. Like you are doing this. I mean, and it's not just him. I mean, I think Deion Bailey played okay, but he just got he was going to get beat by Kendricks on that touchdown anyway. You could see it, and he just fell down and wasn't able to tackle him or do anything to stop the play. So I think next time that happens, but you sure don't like to see Aaron Rodgers without your full complement of the Legion of Boom. So we'll see. But with that said, Green Bay doesn't have Jordy Nelson. I don't think that Chicago Bears defense is that great, and they still hung with them this week. So who knows? It just there's a lot left out there. Anyway, that's going to be it for today. This is my first podcast or video stream. I hope to do this on Periscope next time. So look for me on there. I'm going to throw this up on YouTube, and please give me your thoughts, your opinions, what you liked. If you'd rather me not hold the phone like this, or just whatever. I welcome your comments. Hit me up on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Sean5WW. That's Sean, Sean, the number 5, WW. So Sean5WW. At Sean5WW. Hit me up there. With any questions, comments, feel free to give me a follow. And let's just buckle in. This season's going to be great. We got to get back there and avenge that last season's loss. So, go Hawks.